Hello my fellow chatterers and those who spend all day feasting on books, and anyone else who's popped in because you're curious or you're lost. Welcome everyone. I am Chatty and this is my channel Chatty the Mad Chatter, and today I'm chatting away madly about part 4 of my segmented studies. So this is because I can't do a vlog. I am doing the magical readathon, which has been created by G from Book Roast. All the information you need is in the description box if you're not sure what this is. But it is essentially a readathon where you have to study classes, and that gives you prompts for the books you choose. I have got 8 to complete this readathon. I've read 4. I've got another 4 to go. So I'm going to be letting you know which ones I'm working on, which ones I'm picking up. And it's segmented because I cannot edit. So I can't do it in a big vlog form, which is what I would like to do. But this is more fun and probably just as well because chatty by name, chatty by nature, I can't stop talking, so we've just got to embrace the waffle. This is one shot. Let's hope it goes okay. Cheers, everyone. So the 4th book that I have read for this readathon, I needed to get a level O in law, and for that we were studying Eldia's regional anthropology, and we had to read a book which had similar colours on to our country's flag. And I read Get a Life, Chloe Brown. So this is a contemporary romance, and I don't really read a lot of romance. This has been on my list for ages, and it absolutely gave me what I needed. So the bookmark's still at the back. Talk about the bookmarks in a minute. So I did have high expectations going in here because I've heard so many people loving it. I think I first heard about it on the channel Olivia from Olivia's Catastrophe, talking about how much she loved this book. And she does read a whole plethora of different books, and romance being one of them. I don't read a lot of romance, but this did definitely call out to me as something that I wanted. And it absolutely hit the spot for me because it is light. It's a very fast-paced, I call it sparky because it's like snappy dialogue. It makes me giggle. It just feels very sparkly and fun and frothy. But amongst that, it also deals with some sort of like wider social issues. It doesn't go full out into them, but they are intertwined in people's lives. So it just feels very kind of natural and organic. So I will kind of go into that a little bit more, explaining what I mean. So I just really enjoyed the couple in here. Chloe and Red are adorable. They are some of the cutest humans ever. They do have their very fair share of accumulated life baggage that obviously will affect how they respond to certain situations. And I thought this was kind of put across in the book really well in terms of the plot and kind of their relationship development and their own kind of personal development as the book goes along. I have no faults with this book. I loved it. It was exactly what I wanted. It was exactly what I needed. It was so enjoyable, and I really kind of like whipped through it quite quickly. So yes, I very highly recommend this one if you want a contemporary romance to read. It was fabulous. So I will go into a few mild spoilers so I can talk about a few more of my thoughts with this. So if you don't want to hear them, I will do timestamps, so skip ahead to when I talk about my next book. So like I said, it does kind of go into a few kind of social issues, but it's not, the story is very much about these two characters and their relationships and their personal journey. But I like very much how it really feels very natural. So because of both of their backgrounds they come from, it does explore a little bit of classism and people's prejudice. So both with Red's original perception of Chloe, because she comes from a rich, posher family, whereas he's from a much more working class family. He wears a biker jacket, he's got tattoos. So again, he experiences a lot of prejudice against him. So this is kind of explored in the book in terms of like their first impressions, and also kind of triggers in terms of what their experience has been with other people in the past. So we are told at the beginning of this book that there is a character recovering from an abusive relationship. I really appreciate that that's done at the beginning of the book to warn people about potential triggers. Like I said, I've not read a huge amount of romance. I have read some contemporary, but I do tend to mainly be a fantasy reader, so my experience is not going to be as much as other people's, but I have not read any books that has featured an emotionally abusive relationship with a male character before, being the one being abused. So he was originally with a rich girl called Pippa, who made him feel worthless. And because she was quite posh and rich, those kind of things coming from Chloe, and if he sees himself as being someone used again, that triggers kind of this sort of like need to kind of like shut things down and move away. I thought that was done really well. We are slowly built up this picture of what he went through, along with him constantly reminding himself Chloe is not Pippa. I thought it was done really, really well, because this is not something that you recover from quickly. This is something that you work through and you also need support and help with. It's also not something that you were going to fix about yourself by having a new relationship. This is something that you need to do for you, and I thought the book looked at that and did that beautifully. Saying that again, the book is very much about their relationship, and although those things kind of come across and come through, it's not the whole purpose and story of the book, which is what I wanted. I wanted it for the relationship. I wanted to have a fun time with these characters. I wanted to have all these moments of them growing in affection for each other. I wanted the chemistry. I wanted the banter. And that's exactly what it delivered. I do think the story was very enriched from having well-developed backstories for these characters, and they also felt very much part of them. It didn't feel like, oh, I need a hook to get more people reading, I'll throw this in there. It felt very natural that these were the characters. Like, this was the story that happened before. You feel like you could easily read about their lives before this and after this. They felt very, very real. I very much did feel that, you know, sometimes when you read a book and you definitely feel like you're reading a book, and then you read some other times you're reading a book where you feel like you're just present in the story, like you can see everything, you're immersed in it. It very much felt like that for me in this. So I just think, you know, Talia Hibbert's writing, the way she projects the story, was just done exquisitely. Chloe is also a character that has her fair share of emotional drama that she's had to deal with and kind of come through. You know, there's been huge changes in her life because of illness, and we see kind of hints of like what she experienced before she then had to deal every day with chronic pain. So she is a character with a disability, and we see kind of how she manages life every day, and it doesn't define her, which I love. We very much get the Chloe, we very much get her personality, and this is just kind of part of her existence and how she has to go through things every day, how she kind of has to provide more thought to what she does. She can't just like get up and go. She has to kind of think more about, what do I need? How do I make sure I don't wear myself out? How do I make sure that I can accomplish everything I want to? There's a lot of thought process in here for her. And I think it was wonderful that we got to see someone else's life like that and just see how incredible they are at, you know, managing that while still being very much themselves and us seeing that. And I thought it was handled really well. Obviously, I can't speak from experience about either being someone who's been in an abusive relationship or someone who suffers with a disability. So these are my opinions from someone who has neither of those experiences. So to get more kind of authenticity of whether or not they feel that Talia Hibbert showed that well, you will need to look at other reviews. And I'm afraid I can't name any of them. But this is my opinion, and I thought it was fantastic. I thought it was so beautifully done. I also really love how we see both the two characters realising the different things the other one has to deal with and how they like it done. Like, Red very quickly realises that Chloe will sometimes ask for help with some things but won't ask for help with other things, and doesn't like to be made a fuss of. But at the same time, there's certain things where he definitely wants to do things for her because he cares about her. And the way, I'm going to find that passage in the book actually, because I think it's explained really well. Like, it's not a charity. It's not feeling you've got to do something because someone can't. It's because I can do this, but for you to do this, you're going to be in pain. It makes sense for me to do it. Okay, I found the bit that I wanted to read to you. Why do you have a kitchen drawer full of fancy pens? He shut the offending drawer in disgust and turned towards another. Where are your spoons? Red, don't. I don't want you to cook for me, and that's not too late. He'd opened the next drawer, which was full of her spare medication. But he didn't gawk at the countless colourful boxes, old painkillers she'd abandoned because they made her mouth too dry to talk, or because she'd gotten used to them and upgraded like an addict grown accustomed to the hit. He didn't ask about them either, or slam the drawer shut and give her a part-pitying, part-worried look like her mother would. Instead, he shook his head and said, You got everything in this kitchen but cutlery, Chloe. Then he turned to the next drawer, discovered the spoons, and carried on as if nothing had happened. Funny. Chloe was used to seeing her life and her illness as normal, but she wasn't used to other people acting the same way. You're not cooking for me. There, that sounded firm, reasonable, and responsible, kind of. Why not? He asked. Because you're not a bloody home helper. He turned to look at her. Chloe, language. Oh, for... He interrupted her, his tone serious and his words quiet. Stop worrying, okay? You think this is a big deal because, no offence, you've had a lot of people in your life who claim to care about you but didn't act like it. That's not me. I can cook, and right now you can't. So I'm doing it for you because that's how people should behave. They should fill in each other's gaps. Don't think about it too hard. I love that. You should fill in each other's gaps. I think that is just a wonderful example of how the world should work and why I absolutely love these two together. They're kind of, once they understand what each other finds upsetting or triggering because of encounters in their past life. Chloe had a lot of friends who, after her, I think she caught pneumonia, I can't quite remember, and then she was left with chronic pain, kind of stopped being her friends and then kind of drifted off as though she was too much to deal with because she was always in pain and didn't do stuff anymore. And so that's why she almost like feels she can't get close to people again, because she doesn't want to be dropped and left. So the fact that they just start reading each other and seeing each other's triggers and then trying to kind of help them and remind them. Chloe's reminding Red that he's worth something and he's a fantastic person, and he's reminding her that it's okay for people to help her when she is feeling in pain. And I just love how they gel together so beautifully, and I also love how you understand. There is a miscommunication in here. There is. But it's absolutely fine because you've built up this picture of who Red is and who Chloe is. You understand why they're going to react to certain things because of their past experiences. So it worked for me, it made sense, and I didn't mind the miscommunication at all. As you heard in that passage, there is some language in this book. There are swear words. There is also sexual content in here as well. So if that's something you're not sure of, then maybe proceed carefully. But I just think the book is done so well, and I just think all of that kind of adds to the personalities and adds to the characters, adds to their relationship and the chemistry. And these two have chemistry, and it is great fun. So yes, absolutely love this book. Highly recommend. So we now move on to what the fifth book I'm going to be reading in order to become a dream walker. So I need to get a D in Psionics and Divination. And for level Q, I need to read a book that is Time Theory 2. And for that, I have to read a book where there is a word in it from the last book that I have read. So I have just been finishing this book here. This is Ship of Destiny, which is book 3 in the Live Traders by Robin Hobb. It's an adult epic fantasy. And this has not come up in my, sorry, got a message popping on the phone. Ah! Oh dear, apologies. Oh, we're still filming. Lovely, lovely. Stay, don't move. This has not come up in my TBR for the Magical Readathon. I am being crazy and reading other books outside of my Magical Readathon TBR because I have many things to read and not all of them fit on the TBR. So I need to read a book that has either ship, of, or destiny in the title in order for me to complete my next prompt. Of would be easy, but I want to go for more of a keyword. So I am going to be reading The Ship of Shadows by Maria Kuznia. which is a children's fantasy middle grade that I've been wanting to read for a really, really long time. So, The Ship of Shadows is part historical fiction, part fantasy. It starts in Spain, and I think they go to other places because we've got a map in here. So I think they go to Morocco and possibly the Sahara Desert, because that's what we've got here. We've got Morocco, we've got Marrakesh, and we've got the Sahara Desert, and I feel they're labelled because we might go there. This book, I don't know a huge amount about it, but it has female pirates, and I feel that is all I need to know. There's magic and there's female pirates. I want to read it. And I have to show you this beautiful look. Got a little peek through, turn the front cover, and oh, look at that beautiful artwork of the ship out at sea. So I have read the first chapter back ages ago. I did a tea and taste, and this was one of the books on that. Really intrigued, really excited to read it, but I'd read a lot of fantasy and felt in the mood for something else, so I didn't pick it up at that point. But I have read past it. Where did I get to? Yeah, so I've read, so as well as reading the prologue, it was very short, and then the first chapter, I have now read past that, and I've read the second chapter as well. So I've read, you can see, I've read this much here. So in the first chapter, we were introduced to Alea. I did originally think she was called Algia, but that's because I can't always read. So we meet Alea, who is the only girl in the family. She's got 2 older brothers. She really wants to be able to go and sail out on the ships that she sees coming into the harbour. But she's a girl, girls don't sail. So she is tied by the restrictions of the time. She has an older brother who helps out in the bakery, and a middle brother who basically gets to run off and do what he likes because he's useless in there. So again, we have inequality right there in the family home. And we meet her grandma, and Alea just doesn't feel that she's kind of fitting into the role of the granddaughter that the grandma wants as much as she is loved, and this just doesn't seem like the life for her. She really yearns for adventure and the ships. And then in the next chapter, we see her, as well as narrowly avoiding some bullies, we see her coming into her own, and this is what she wants to do, is she's left to her own devices, and that is sneak out the window and go to the library and clamber around on the rooftops, and that just sounds amazing. So she's researching kind of like mythology and lore, and she comes across the Ship of Shadows, and then she sees the ship coming into port smelling of gunpowder. And I presume we're about to meet the legendary pirate ship, and that Alea's going to be connected to it in some way and get to sail on the ship, because quite frankly, if she does not go and sail on this ship, then this is massive mismarketing right here. I have every faith she's going to get on that ship, and I'm really keen to see what the shadows are about, where they go, and how it all comes together. So very excited to be reading this one. It's been lovely chatting to you all once again. Please do feel free to chat to me in the comments. I always love to have a chat, whether it's about these books, whether it's about different books, about what you've been reading. Let me know. Happy reading, everyone.